Okay, I'm Aaliyah Hernandez, and I'm here with Eren Bussard, and we're going over his poem, Forgiving or Forgetting. My initial thoughts when reading this poem was that the style is really unique. You have one that really sticks out to me because it feels so personal to you while also echoing thoughts I've had and I know other people have had. In my mind, like your style, I've been calling it like beautifully accessible. Within your poem, what did your writing process look like and how did you develop your style?
So I wrote this years ago, actually, and I was in therapy at the time, and we'd been working on like specific events that I purposely blacked out of my memory. So erasing the experience from my timeline to better cope, but that only like works for so long. So then I like wrote this when I was like working on remembering stuff my body didn't want me to remember.
Oh, okay. There's also an overarching theme, which is coping with ourselves. Yeah. We are taught, like growing up, how to forgive and forget. Like that's a really common phrase, like you forgive and you forget with people we know. But I believe that the lesson gets lost when it comes to ourselves and the relationship we have with our own intimate beings. You've taken this concept of like forgiving and forgetting and flipped it on its head, adding some internal complexities. Was the flip intentional, or did that just kind of write itself?
So it wasn't intentional, but like upon rereading it, when like I had written it, I liked it because I think it's necessary. Because for me, it like wasn't as simple as forgive and forget, because it's like it was one of those situations you don't want to forget because you don't want to forgive.
Oh.
And so it was not one or the other, or both at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense. And poetry can be really great because you can give in as much or as little structure and literary devices as you want. It's so freeform, even though I think a lot of people's introduction to it is the opposite. It is very structured. But it is just so unique to the author, as you have demonstrated. Are there any writers that you've taken inspiration from?
So I don't read much poetry like now, but back in high school when I like was getting into it, I used to read a lot of Emily Dickinson. She's like one of my favorites and like heavily inspired my old kind of writing style. Like what I've written in like the last like 4 to 5 years is definitely more kind of like what forgiving and forgetting is.
Yeah.
So
what do you want to capture in this poem? And what do you want readers to take from it?
I didn't really want to capture anything specific in either feeling other than maybe like kind of a loss. Like you don't win with either one. And I wasn't trying to like really leave the reader with like feeling any certain way, because again, the poem was more for me. I'm just really happy I'd like submitted it because it was a personal piece and that other people can relate to it, as like we've like talked about, which is really nice. Like I love when people can relate to stuff that I've written. Yeah.
Okay. What are your goals in the future with writing and with poetry, if there's anything specific you have in mind?
I want to be an author. Poetry isn't like my strongest suit, but I do love writing and like exploring poetry as like an outlet for other things I just can't get down in like a story format.
Oh, that was it. Okay, that's fine. Well, with that said, like what is your history with poetry?
Aside from my limited yet first like knowledge of Emily Dickinson, I don't have much.
Okay.
It's mostly self-taught. I've never been a fan of rhymes though. That's just my own preference. I can't rhyme in my poetry. I appreciate when other people can and make it really clever, but otherwise it's like prosody, I feel like a lot of the times trying to be poetry.
Yeah, great. I think that's all I had. Was there anything else you want to talk about in terms of this poem?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Great. Signing off.
Signing off.